Hi everyone, welcome. As you can see, I've got a number of things over here on the bench all set to go, but really quick, let me just hit the rewind button to where the worms that live in those two yellow buckets came from. They came from a couple systems that I bought an end to 15 days ago. Tray 1 got finished on 15 days ago, and then 5 days later, 10 days ago, tray number 2. And I just threw all the stuff that was in those systems in here and tried to bait the worms out, but at this point I'm going to treat this as a done deal and go through the ceremony of reuniting our stragglers with the rest of the gang that already made their way over into the yellow buckets. These things have been set up in such a way that we're going to treat them as set it and forget it systems. So, but then you're probably questioning, hey, if you're going to forget them, then what are we doing? Why are we even bothering? Well, they're new, you know, so to me, it just seems like if we could check in on them just to make sure everything's doing okay, then that would be a good idea. So yeah, I just flashed my remote control here. I was looking for a place where I could rest this. In case you're wondering, the stragglers, if there are any, I'm assuming there's going to be some, I'm going to put them into tray number, or bucket number 1, the set it and forget it system, in which we put twine. And besides straggler worms getting reunited and increasing the population in here, maybe, I've also got twine. You might have saw it out there on the bench. You know, I've got, first of all, a whole bucket full of stuff. It's got maybe 2 or 3 seasons worth of the string that I use to suspend my tomatoes. I run them up strings. And then regulars on my channel will know the bucket with the warning about not letting your kid fall into the bucket. This is more the same of what the system's made of, because it seemed to me like, hey, why don't we build this up if we can? And besides, I noticed once the twine gets wet, it seems to collapse and take up less space. Now we swamped both systems, or at least it felt to me like I swamped both systems, because I poured what I think was about 3/4 of a gallon into each system. I tried to do the old test to see if any standing water is visible if I tip it, and in here in the twine system, the standing water still shows up. So my idea was to throw the new twine really low down underneath what's in there already, that's soaked already, so that that new stuff can absorb some of the standing moisture. Here in the cotton system, not too surprising that I didn't see any standing water come spilling out when I tipped it over. So I do wonder if the worms are, you know, persisting in occupying the material up here on top that they came over in, or are they adopting the cotton? Or over here, or are they adopting the twine? So here, definitely feel a good bit of moisture. I imagine worms love a system where there's just tons and tons of moisture. Standing water. Kind of gross, but whatever. Besides twine, we used other sorts of bedding materials. You could see some shredded paper cardboard that was added here. You can even see leaves that were added here. But you know, I think one thing we're gonna do right away is get this thing emptied, because I keep getting this funny feeling like I'm just gonna forget it. Like I'm gonna put everything away and I'm gonna forget to dump this out and reunite whatever stragglers we managed to bait out of the finished casting. So I think we could take a quick peek in here. Gosh, I didn't really do a good job keeping this stuff comfortable, did I? I see a worm or two, but it is kind of dry, so I'm glad I'm able to introduce them to the nice damp accommodations that they're being moved into over here in the twine system, where we have a little bit over 2,800 worms estimated to live in here. 2,821 I think is the number we've come up with so far, but since it happened so recently, I'm still anticipating some people chiming in with their estimates, and if you haven't done so already, then please go to the video and check it out, and then give me your feedback in terms of how many worms you think occupy this system. I guess I could leave the link for it up in the corner so you can get there quickly, but yeah, that's not the more occupied system. It's the reason we just added those few worms into here. It's thought that the greater number of worms live over here, which is somewhere close to 3,200, 3,183 maybe rings in my mind as possibly the amount. So, you know, before we get too far along, let's take a peek down there. There's some of my unmentionable intimate wear, my tighty whities, some of them. Yeah, whatever. Socks. There's shorts. There's a boxer, like athletic shorts. There's just a number of different cotton items that were put in here. Once again, I can share the video in which I showed all the items that were placed into here. And if you haven't participated in the guesswork for this system, then I could put the link for that video up in the corner as well, where you can also contribute your estimate for how many worms live in here. But I've already got a sense of how many worms I think we've just added to the twine system, so please leave me a comment. Let me know how many you think it was. And you know, I did set these up as set it and forget it, but I didn't want to come down here with nothing, so I figured let's just throw a little something in there for them, and we're going to get out of here, because this is, you know, these are not meant to be systems we check in on regularly. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing looking crazy or out of place or awry or dangerous. And as long as that was the case, I figured let's just get in and out and even give them the little snack as sort of a little token for them tolerating our barging in on them. But now I think this nice big wad of twine getting shoved down to the bottom is going to do a good job sucking up some of that moisture over there. I'm even wondering about this twine that we placed on top. Doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot, but whatever. I don't want to get too drawn into dealing with these systems. The whole idea of this was just to try something a little bit unusual, a little bit different, and I guess, you know, now I'm starting to question whether or not we're going to have space for all that other twine that I bought in from the garden. All this many years worth of twine that I used to suspend my plants in the garden. I figured let's at least try to get some of it in here. Like I said, this stuff, once it starts to get wet, I think is going to collapse in on itself some. So sorry, wormies, for being kind of rough over here. But yeah, look at that. That to me seems like the better bet right there, is to push these drier bits of twine that are out here on the surface down, and then just throw in everything that remains. Still seems to me like we're only getting close, but not quite reaching the level that the cotton bucket's at. But it really doesn't matter. I'm not really looking to achieve any sort of precision. Maybe we'll do another check-in at some point in the near future, just to make sure things are looking good, and then we can really start to commit to forgetting about them and just letting things ride and letting some longer period of time elapse between check-ins. But when they're new, I just feel like I'd like to, you know, help things out. So let's see, I got strawberry, but it's frozen in a block, so I wanted to give half to each system. I'm even wondering, do we leave the foods up here near the top? You always hear how composting worms are surface feeders, so perhaps it would make sense to leave the food that we want to give them somewhere near the surface, since that's their kind of tendency to go to the surface looking for yummy victuals to snack on. And in order to get the top surface perhaps a little bit more cozy for worms to want to hang out in, it does seem to me like we might need to cover up slightly better than we were doing before with that that only partial covering of bubble wrap that we had on here. It does seem to me like if we want to see even the top surface materials remain damp or get damp, I don't know if we can count on sort of capillary action drawing water up into all the materials. I think the recirculation of the terrarium effect approach is the one that's going to produce better effects in terms of providing us with some nice moisture recirculating up near the surface. So I think we're going to come in with a couple bags, a couple plastic bags, and demote the bubble wrap pieces. And I think that'll be an upgrade for us. Alright, well, I went over to the place where I usually keep my supply of bags that I reuse all the time, but right now I'm kind of running low, I think, or something. So I went over to another source and got these. So to me, this seems like a somewhat better top-off solution than this was with all this airflow on the side. I think this is going to allow us to have much more damp materials out on the surface, which is going to just make sure that that surface doesn't just become a no man's land with no worm traffic because it has gotten dry. So this is going to be our first actual check-in since the launch of these systems. Oops, excuse me. Got to get used to having two buckets out here in front of the camera in front of you guys. But no, I don't, because we're not going to be checking in regularly. The whole idea is set and forget, and maybe we'll do another check-in just for a reality check, make sure what we've done here is holding up good and is equipped for the long haul, and then we'll really get into ignoring them and forgetting about them in our own special way. So that's it for the video, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.